I've been recording and I just don't know like if I would want to post it or not. Just because I don't know if it's a topic that people would want to listen to. And also I don't know if I would want people to hear about dating, like coming from me. I don't know. I don't I'm like this funny I like try to portray myself as like this funny guy, but then to be all philosophical talking about life and shit on my YouTube channel. My Instagram is a completely different person, so I sleep in these pants. Good morning. I went out last night and we had a few drinks. One of my friends had a shotgun. I had a good time. You know, I only had like 4 drinks. I'm on creatine now, so I get drunk a little easier. But overall, it was a good night. I feel like I was kind of doing it as a way to get over something I saw. But even in the moment, as the night was progressing and later and up until this morning, I feel good. Nothing's really hurting me. The only thing that hurts me are like the things I can't control. You know, like what they are doing. But you have to just slowly detach. You kind of just have to learn how to do that. It takes some time. Sometimes you get pretty blinded by the other person who you're in a relationship with, and sometimes it's hard to understand whether it's, you know, love or attachment. And many people fall victim to this. To me, being loved by somebody is them putting their full trust in you and basically saying that, you know, they will do whatever is best for you, even if it doesn't mean, you know, being with them, but still communicating, you know, where you fall short in certain aspects of your life, and, you know, trying to not necessarily overcome it. Obviously you're gonna have to tweak some things, but you can't just fully change, you know, like that's you as a person, that's how you were raised, and you can't just like change a person. You also have to love yourself before you love another person, right? But I think the main issue that just really came to me is getting mistaking attachment for love. Somebody who's kind of saying that they need you to survive, you know. If you are not in their life, they will, who knows what's going to happen to them. They're going to die, they're going to hurt themselves. They can't live without you. Dependency, codependency, not just for living, right, but emotional codependency. So basically, like, I do believe that men should be there for their female, you know, when they're going through rough patches, like if they're stressed out at work or something's going on, you should be there, right? And how the man handles the situation is completely different across man to man. You know, some people are super emotional, some men are super emotional, right? But then there's a trade-off. If you're super emotional, you're not really thinking as rationally, and you can't really think of a solution, right? And there are men who are so rational, where they don't really think about the woman's emotions. They just think about, you know, getting the right solution for the situation. So there needs to be a balance there. No matter at what end of the spectrum you're at, super rational, super emotional, right in the middle, however you deal with their feelings shouldn't be the other person's problems if you are unable to meet their level of satisfaction. Like, say you're upset at something and you address their emotions and think of a solution, and they're like, you could have just said this and this and this and this instead, and we're over here doing the best that we can. That's unfair. That's unfair to us, you know, like we are doing the best that we can or that we think is best. It's unfair for you to be basically telling us that, you know, you need more of this. And then when we start giving you that, right, we start adapting our actions to that to make it better and better. It's almost like that's never enough, right? It's like there's something else to blame. And unfortunately, they don't blame themselves. You know, they don't blame themselves for feeling this way. You have to, whenever you're upset, your partner is not there to solve your issue. They're there to support you through you taking care of your issue. I think some people get this mixed up where your partner is the person that is going to fix everything. No, that's not true. They're there to hold your hand through it. And as a, you know, as a grown adult, you want your partner, who is a grown adult, to be able to handle shit on their own, right? Why would you want a fucking, if I could barely handle emotions on my own, why would I want my partner that's unable to handle shit on her own? Codependency. I was talking to my therapist about it. You know, a lot of people around this age are codependent for multiple reasons, and you can't really blame them for it. But just understanding where they come from can also help you decide whether or not these relationships or this kind of person is the right thing for you. I think a lot of men get stuck into picking a partner over their looks and thinking, oh, this personality is fine for now, I feel like we can change it. No. I think the older you get, you start to realize that yes, looks matter, but you can't really change someone's personality, and that you have to kind of date personality. You need a balance of both, of course. Not everybody. I mean, everybody. We're humans, man. You want to be with an attractive person. You want to be with somebody you find attractive. Whatever you see is attractive is what you see. You can't judge anybody for it. Yeah, I think understanding when you're going on a date, understanding their trauma, you know, what they've been through and what they kind of say when they react about it. If they're like super defensive, they're super comprehensive about it, how mature are they about these certain topics, are they able to talk about certain topics with you, are they able to communicate to you without arguing? That's a big thing. That's a really big thing, because I mean, my mom is not the best communicator, so everything comes off across as very argumentative when it's not really, you know, it's not really her fault. That's just how they are in the Philippines. They always yell. There's no such thing as like a calm tone. It depends on, you know, how they grow up. You love somebody so much, you gotta let them go. And I find that very shocking to me, because my ex said she loved me so much that she would never leave me no matter what. But she wasn't seeing that it was hurting her a lot being with me. And it was hurting me too, but it was hurting her a lot being with me, because I wasn't giving her the things that she really needed. And I was telling her like I want to change, blah blah blah, right? But I almost felt pressured to say that I would change, because every time I try to stand firm on my beliefs of like, you know, I don't think I'm this kind of person for you. I can, you know, try to tweak things to be better, to accommodate for your feelings. But I'm just not that kind of person, to be honest. Like, I was being straight up. But since she was getting so upset about that, I had to, you know, change my response and try to adapt, right? Like a fucking lizard or a chameleon. You shouldn't have to feel forced to change your personality in some ways, right? Like, your emotional capabilities are your emotional capabilities. You can't tell somebody to be more emotional or less emotional than they are. That's just how they're wired. You can't do that. However, you can change actions like being weird, like hanging out with other people. You can change those kind of things, and if it makes them feel uncomfortable, then I understand that. Changing actions, but you can't really change people's personality. That's my 2 cents. But yeah, I just wanted to get this rant out before I go to the gym. I don't even know if I'm going to post these, because I don't know if people would find these interesting. It's freezing. I'm going to go back inside.